Hello friends, in today's crafty video, we are going to be looking at my 2026 punch cards. If you don't know what punch cards are, they are like a different way of doing your resolutions or your goals for the year. If you're new here and you're not quite sure why I might have opted for punch cards this year instead of standard resolutions or goals, which I have done in previous years, we are expecting a baby this year in April, end of April. So I didn't want to commit myself to like big resolutions or things that I would feel bad about not having achieved by the end of the year. So I went with punch cards instead. Punch cards work in basically the way you would kind of expect, but if you've never seen them before, let me quickly explain them to you. I will use my first punch card, which is not going to be a surprise to any of you. It is this stash bust card. So essentially how it works is that when I tick off something that like achieves the thing on the punch card, I get to punch out one of the little like things I've drawn on it. So for the stash bust one specifically, I have written that each ball of yarn that I've painted on this is worth 500 grams of yarn. So when I finish or use up 500 grams of yarn that is in my stash, which you can kind of see behind me, I get to punch one of the balls out. Once the whole card is done, I get a reward. So that is essentially how they work. You finish the card and you get a reward. Now, I will go through all of mine. Some of them I don't have rewards for yet. So if you do have ideas when I get to those ones, please do let me know. But very quickly, I will also let you know how I made these. It's really simple, and honestly, if you are like a crafty person at all, and honestly, even if you're not, you can use what you've got lying around. So I used an A5 watercolor pad and I just cut that into like 4 equal cards. I used a corner punch rounder that I already have to get the round corners on them. And then I used markers, I used watercolor paints and stamps that I already had lying around in like my buckets of lost craft to continue finishing and making these. These are like, they're all over Instagram, okay? Definitely, I got some inspiration for some of these by looking through other people's like design ideas and stuff like that. So there's like a whole lot of resources that you can go and you can look at if you want to make your own. I think another really cool thing about these, and another reason that I chose to do them this year, is that I'm not going to feel bad if I don't finish all of the cards by the end of the year. They feel like a more reasonable thing to carry into a new year. They're not necessarily like time-based things. They're just projects or aspirations that I want to get done regardless of when they happen. If come end of April, I need to put everything down for like months and months and months, that's okay. Like I'm gonna be easier on myself. I'm not gonna finish the year with a whole list of things that I haven't ticked off. I think the other great thing about these is that it's not just one thing. Like for that stash bus one, for example, every 500 grams of yarn I get out of my stash, I get to feel good. I'm like one step closer to my goal. Whereas if I had made my goal like, oh, I want to de-stash, I don't know, 10 kilos of yarn that I've got in my stash, and I only get 3 kilos of the way in, I feel like I've just failed. Whereas with these, I feel like a little sense of accomplishment every step that I take. So I hope that you are encouraged to make some for yourself. It's never too late. I know this is going up, you know, mid-January, but never too late to make yourself some punch cards. With all that said, let's quickly go through the ones that I have got. This is my just little like home screen. I'm going to call it my home screen. I will eventually like hole punch the corner of these and keep them all on like a D-ring or something like that, just so that I can keep them all together. My first actual card is this stash bust card, and I will admit I made 2 of these because I'm really hoping that I can stash bust more than 5 kilos of yarn. As I said earlier, for this one, for each ball that is on the card, it is worth 500 grams of yarn. So for every 500 grams I get rid of, I can punch that off and have a little sense of accomplishment. And if I do the entire card, my reward I've written on this is that I get yarn for 1 project. So I'm not buying yarn unless it's like specifically for projects and things like that. So if I get 5 kilos, this card represents 5 kilos of yarn. If I get 5 kilos of yarn out of my stash, I will let myself go and treat myself to yarn, but still with a project in mind. I really don't want to be just like adding yarn to my stash, especially at the moment. We need more room in our house for this child, you know? So that is this card. And I guess also this one. And I really like the design of this. I'm so happy with the little like yarn balls that are on it. I'm like not a super arty person or anything like that, so they're not the greatest, but I think they're cute and I'm happy with them. The next card that I have is all about pattern tests. For every pattern test that I do, I'm going to punch out one of the pencils that is on here, and I am hoping to do 5 pattern tests this year. I have already done one. I did Basil the Bunny for the Crochet Carpenter, so I will be able to punch these off, but I wanted to be able to like show you them before I ruined them with hole punching them, you know? Not ruined. It's going to be satisfying for me. Maybe we can do that together at the end of the video. I will hole punch off any that I've achieved. I'm kind of hoping that I can do more than 5 pattern tests, but I've tried to be a little bit conservative with these. And also I wanted to make more than just like 3 cards. So I've kept the numbers on them a bit smaller so that I can have a few more different cards and things like that. If I need to make more throughout the year, I totally can. That's the other benefit of using these punch cards instead. It doesn't feel like a set the goal at the start of the year and then you have to stick with them. I can make cards if I want to, if I decide there's something else that I want to do. For the pattern test card, I don't have a reward. So if you have any ideas for rewards for finishing pattern tests, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear any ideas that you have for that. I was trying to make them like kind of relevant to the goal that I'm achieving, but I guess they don't have to be. They could be anything. My next one is a pattern stash card. This one is a bit weird. I don't know what I was doing with drawing these weird little blobby things, but I didn't really have an idea. I think this is one of the last ones I made and I just ran out of mental steam. This one is for every pattern that I get out of my stash, I will do a little hole punch on these, and for every 5 that I get rid of, like use for the first time, I can buy 1 more pattern. So overall, I'll still be reducing my pattern stash, and this way I can kind of like save my pattern purchases and like think about them a little bit more instead of just buying patterns as a gut reaction, even though I know that I won't have time to make them for ages. That's how I got so many patterns in my stash already. I might give myself exceptions, like if there's really good sales or something on a designer that I really like and I know that I'll make their stuff soon, maybe I'll give myself an exception to that rule, but for the most part, I am going to try and stick to only rewarding myself when I finish a card. The next card that I have is kind of my last like craft related one specifically, and that is just some projects that I want to get done. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to do this one because they were all sort of one-off things. So I don't have a reward for this either because I feel like I don't know, it's not necessarily a card that needs a reward. I think the result of these projects will be the reward, but the 4 projects that are on it are that I want to do a knit project because I learned to knit before I learned to crochet, but I just like haven't practiced it at all. And so I'm not that confident a knitter. Like I can knit basic stuff, that's fine. I can do like basic cables, but I've never done a really big project and I've never done like shaping or things like that in knitting. So I think I want to dabble a little bit more in it. We'll see. Again, all of this is like caveated by I'll see how my year goes. Who knows? The next one on it is a tapestry project. If you have been here for a while, you'll know that last year I had a goal to do like 5 tapestry projects or something and I did like 2. This year I'm just keeping it simple. I just want to do 1 tapestry project. I don't know what one yet. I think I'll be able to achieve that and I'll be happy about it. But I didn't want to make a whole card for tapestry, you know? I just don't know that I'm going to get multiple of them done. The next one on it is a cross stitch project. Again, I was cross stitching like way before I ever was crocheting, and I want to get back into it because it is a little bit of like a slower craft medium, and I feel like with crochet I get really focused on wanting to finish what I'm making and like hyper fixate on it, whereas cross stitch, I don't know if it's just me, but just by nature, like you have to go a bit slower with it. I know going into a cross stitch project that it's going to be a long-term thing. Like I do have some here. This is one that I made like when I first started streaming over on Twitch. This is a stylized version of Dublin, and I had also made a Sydney version to give my husband's family who live in Ireland. So they have our city and we have their city, and I really love it, and I still haven't framed it. I really need to do that. I need to frame it and get it up, but I would love to get back into cross stitch and like, I don't know, slow down with my craft a little bit more. That's also on here. And the 4th one in the 4th corner is to do an upcycle project. I have actually kind of started this, not really, but I've taken the first step. I had a t-shirt that just like fell apart basically. And so I made it into t-shirt yarn, and I've been seeing reels from a creator called Knit Diet where she makes rugs using like fabric and upcycled fabric as well as her yarn scraps. So that is what I'm going to try with these. I have step 1 done, which was cutting the t-shirt up and making it into yarn. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I do need to get started on it, but I think I need to kind of get together my yarn scrap stash and see what the colors are doing and things like that. But this should be enough by her Q&A on making these t-shirt rugs. This should be enough to make a full kind of bath mat, I guess, size rug. So I'm looking forward to that. I might put it in here for the cats to sleep on because they do love sleeping on the mat that I already have in here, but that's what I use to stand on when I'm using like my stand-up desk in the standing position. So I kind of want them to use something else. All right, my next card is YouTube related and it is just a subscriber goal. I didn't want to give myself like a final end of year subscriber thing, but I wanted to be able to kind of celebrate my slower progress on this channel. Last year, like went a little bit ham on the subscriber goal I set myself and I like way fell short of it, which then kind of meant I was a bit like, oh, like disappointed in the growth of the channel. But that's so silly because I still have such a great time creating for YouTube and we're still like growing our community. So it doesn't matter that it's slower than other people, you know what I mean? I think it's so easy to get into the comparison trap. So I'm hoping this like slows me down a little and just makes me appreciate the little steps as I'm taking them. So for each heart on this, it is representative of 50 new subscribers to the channel, and we are like 8 subscribers away to being able to punch out the first one of these for 2026, and that would be so cool. So if you are watching this and you are not subscribed, feel free to help me fill in this little punch card by hitting the subscribe button down below. I do not have a reward for this. I have no idea what the reward should be. I don't really need anything to keep like creating on YouTube. I've got my setup kind of set. So if you have any ideas for this, like maybe it's just taking myself out for a nice coffee date or something. But to be honest, I kind of do that anyway. So it's not really a reward for me. So if you do think of anything that I can put as the reward for this, please, again, I would love to hear it down in the comments below. My last kind of craft related one for the year is I want to do 2 markets. I think this might be a stretch. I have no idea what life is going to be like with a baby. My husband's very hands-on. My parents are going to be very hands-on grandparents. So I feel like there is hope that I could do a market like later in the year, potentially. I am hoping that Colourful Minds is able to run again in Sydney because it is like my favorite market. And also I know that those market organizers would be like so accommodating with like needing to do whatever I would need to do. But I know that they have had trouble securing the same location that we have had for the last year and a half. So fingers crossed that they can find another location that is usable and I can do those markets again. I would love to do that. But in the meantime, I am going to look for some other markets I could potentially vend at, and I will keep you posted, as you know, because I will have some form of video for that. 2 markets, fingers crossed we can get this done. Again, I don't have a reward for that, but I think I'm okay with that. I feel like the market is the reward. That's just more of like a kind of a stretch goal card, to be honest. Okay, moving on to 2 that are not craft related at all, but I wanted to have just a little something for like other connections in my life. So the first one is that I want to send 5 letters to my friends this year. I used to send letters to my best friend when we were in high school. We saw each other all the time, but we would still send each other letters because it's just like nice to get something in the mail that isn't a bill, you know? I want to get back to doing that. However, I do live like a 10-minute walk from my best friend now, so I'm not sure that I will need to write her letters because I'm just annoying her all the time. But I would love to do it for some of the friends that I get to see less frequently, and especially I think when I'm like on leave from work, I am a bit worried that I'm going to feel like lonely, although I will have a small human attached to me at all times, probably. I don't know. Maybe I will crave some like adult conversation, and the way I can channel that might be in letters to my friends. So that's what that one is. I don't have any reward for that either because again, the doing it is the reward for me. And the last one is for my husband and I to actually watch some movies. We are so bad at watching films, and like we do a lot of quizzes. I may have said that on this channel before. We do like maybe 5 quizzes every weekend. They're just like free online ones for the most part. Every time there's movie questions, we are so bad at them. And I have been starting a list of like movies that come up relatively often, that every time they come up, we're like, man, we should have seen this film. Like we should know this. This is a classic. Neither of us have seen it. What are we doing? So I have this card, which is movies we haven't seen. And for every 5 movies that we haven't seen that we watch, we can take ourselves on a cinema date. So we'll see even more movies, but these 5 are really for like classics that we haven't seen. And also hopefully this will improve our trivia. That is all of the cards that I made this year so far. Like I said, I might change some, I might give some up, I might add some more, I don't know, but I'm happy with the ones that I've got now. There was one I was going to make, which I completely forgot about until I was like about to record this. And that was that I have so many Agatha Christie books that I haven't read. We collect them, but I'm not great at reading them because I don't like reading them like back to back to back, kind of like spacing them out. And I was going to make one that was like read 5 of the Agatha Christie books that we own, and then I can go and buy one from the secondhand bookshop near us that has them for like cheap, and they always have a great selection of them. I also really need to actually write down all the ones we own because I have bought so many multiples, and thankfully my best friend also collects them, so I can usually pass them on to her if I already have one that I've accidentally bought. But I might make that card later. But for now, these are all of the cards that I had. So let me know what you think of this idea. Let me know if you like the idea of using kind of yearly punch cards instead of doing goals or resolutions. I think more people should try these out. It was a new to me concept, and I am really looking forward to getting to punch these out through the year. That said, let's punch out the couple that I have already achieved together, and we can feel that sweet, sweet sense of satisfaction. Okay, I'm ready to get my hole punch on. I just checked our little stash bust spreadsheet that I've got going, and I have stash busted 625 grams of yarn so far this year, so I do get to hole punch out one of these. Satisfying. One little punched out thing on the stash bust card. The other one I have already done is a pattern test. As I said, I did the Basil Bunny pattern test for Aaron at the Crochet Carpenter, so done. And I think I might write like what the pattern test was next to this pencil, but I will do that later. And from my pattern stash, I have finally made a hoodie bear. So I'm very excited to have that pattern made. And also I have stash busted it. So we got one punch on that card as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this video. Once again, I would love to hear from you in the comments if you do have any goals, if you have any ideas for rewards of the ones that I am missing, or if you might try this in the future. I would love to hear about it. What would be on your punch cards, or what will be if this has inspired you to go and make some. If you like this video, please feel free to give it a like down below. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, you can help me out with one of these punch cards by hitting the subscribe button down below as well, and hanging out here and watching more crafty crochet content on this channel. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!